Welcome to this edition of Your Ticket to Baseball Nostalgia. This is Dan Busby, baseball ticket collector, researcher, and author. My first baseball book was entitled Before and After Babe Ruth, a story of the New York Yankees as told through the lens of tickets and passes. In this edition of Your Ticket to Baseball Nostalgia, we are covering the tickets and passes related to the 1948 Brooklyn Dodgers season. This is all based on my book, Before and After Jackie Robinson, a story of the Brooklyn National League team as told through the lens of tickets and passes. I am sitting in a couple old seats that were used at Wrigley Field decades ago, and I would like to share with you about February 11, 1948, when Dodgers general manager Branch Rickey and Jackie Robinson, accompanied by his wife Rachel, met to settle his 1948 contract. The new contract called for only $12,500 compared to the $5,000 contract for 1947. This left both Jackie and Rachel disappointed. Rachel said years later that the situation was pure plantation. There was no chance to negotiate, to discuss anything. Coming off his 1 year of being banned from baseball by Commissioner Happy Chandler, Leo Durocher again managed the Dodgers. Still pals, despite being relieved of his managerial post after a spectacular 1947 pennant-winning season, Rickey and Schotten are pictured at a January 19, 1948 dinner given Schotten by New York sports writers. The 1947 spring training, played in the Deep South, was tumultuous for the Dodgers. So for the 1948 spring training, Rickey decided to protect Jackie Robinson from unpleasant incidents and decided to spend the spring in the Dominican Republic, a pleasant island of the Caribbean. Jackie was installed at second base, but he reported spring training 25 pounds over his ideal playing weight of 185 to 190. Leo Durocher was shocked and angry when he saw Robinson's condition. "You look like an old woman," he bellowed. Durocher drove Robinson very hard to get into shape under the broiling Dominican sun. He said Jackie will be chasing every long fungo up a palm tree until he gets in shape. Before the 1948 season started, Branch Rickey traded two popular Dodger players, Eddie Stanky and Dixie Walker. Dodger fans were openly angry. As part of the trade with the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Dodgers acquired pitcher Preacher Rowe and Billy Cox. Cox played 70 games at third base before becoming a fixture there in 1949. He was a wiry, horse-faced man with little blacksmith's arms waiting to spring. He subdued hard grounders by slapping his glove downward and imprisoning the ball between glove and earth. Cox was a phenomenon with his small, black, and ancient Whelan glove. He was accused of purchasing it during a drugstore closeout. Because of Pete Reizer's continually banging into the outfield walls at Ebbets Field, the left to center field outfield walls were padded with 1-inch thick chemical sponge rubber. The bottom of the padding was installed 32 inches above the ground. Making the announcement on March 12, Branch Rickey said, "Don't believe that it is a foolproof protection, but it offers Pete Reiser some safety. When Pete starts for a ball, Niagara Falls can't stop his headlong flight," Rickey said. After coming north from the Dominican Republic, the Dodgers spring training tour in the South was a big success at the gate. Not since the days of Babe Ruth had a club drawn so amazingly well in spring training. Judging by the applause that greeted Jackie at bat, it was quite apparent who was attracting the throngs. Branch Rickey tried a new approach in selling tickets to Dodger games in 1948. He bundled popular Sunday game tickets in blocks with tickets to night games. The fans called him a nickel nurser. The last definitive image of Ebbets Field was put into place in 1948. Schaefer bought the advertising space at the top of the right field scoreboard, complementing Abe Stark's ad at the bottom. Shortly thereafter, the H and an E in the word Schaefer were illuminated to indicate hit or error. Initially, scorers were given a case of beer a week by Schaefer to hit the H or the E button. The Dodgers scorecard for 1948, shown here, featured the famous catch by Al Gianfrido in Game 6 of the 1947 World Series at the bottom of the cover. A season pass for the Dodgers in 1948 is shown here. Opening day for the Dodgers was the debut of Roy Campanella. This is the rare opening day ticket. Roy Campanella was 5'9" and a weight that ranged between 200 and 215 pounds. He was built like a fireplug, stocky and durable, which enabled him to stay low in the strike zone to give a target, receive pitches, and block errant throws. Branch Rickey, Dodgers general manager, used morning-afternoon doubleheaders as a way to sell more tickets. Here are 2 tickets for Memorial Day weekend 1948 at Ebbets Field. The lower stand box seat ticket marked AM is for the morning game, and the lower stand box seat ticket marked PM for the afternoon game. After the morning game, the stadium would be cleared, and then they would open the gates for the afternoon game. In a surprising development, Branch Rickey did not deny that Jackie Robinson had been put on waivers. Robinson's early performance in 1948 was disappointing. Even though he was now playing at his preferred position, second base, a sore right arm, a nagging back, and a tender knee made him uncomfortable everywhere on the field. While he was batting close to 300, he had no stolen bases and looked lethargic on the bases. Although Rickey was bluffing, it worked. He knew exactly what he was doing. He had 48 hours to remove Robinson from the waiver list, which is exactly what he did. Robinson soon got himself into better physical condition. Duke Snyder studied the strike zone at Vero Beach under George Sisler during the spring, doing so well that he made the opening day roster. Carl Farrillo was the opening day center fielder for the Dodgers. With Campanella and Newcomb joining Robinson in Brooklyn, some days a third of the starting Brooklyn lineup was black. Across town, Yankee owners Dan Topping and Del Webb had no discernible social conscience. Topping was comfortable in an all-white, all-wealthy Southampton social world. Webb's construction company had built one of the concentration camps used to imprison Japanese Americans during World War II. Campanella had a different outlook than Jackie. Campanella's mother was black and his father was white. Roy wanted everyone to be congenial and friendly. He wanted no controversy. He was critical of Jackie's outspokenness. They simply represented opposite poles of Negro thought about how to effect integration. On July 14, the Dodgers played an exhibition game in Cleveland against the Indians. The Dodgers got their first look at Satchel Paige, who the Indians had earlier brought up. Paige came into the game and fanned the side in the 7th inning and set down the Dodgers in order in the 8th. No one knew Satchel's real age. He was at least in his early 40s and possibly older before he made the major leagues. Here's a photo of Satchel being greeted by boxing heavyweight champion Joe Louis. Bert Schotten returned as Dodger manager on July 16 as Leo DeRocher moved over to manage the New York Giants. Schotten was then 64 years of age with only Connie Mack, an older major league manager with the Philadelphia Athletics. Rickey also brought up pitcher Carl Erskine, and he pitched in his first major league game on July 25. At only 5 foot 10 inches and 165 pounds, he was small for a fastball pitcher. But he pulled a muscle in his shoulder in that first start, pitching in the rain, and it dogged him for the next 12 seasons. He would still go on to win 122 games and lose 78 for the Dodgers. On August 22, Jackie Robinson stole home for the 7th time in his career. Jackie would go on to steal home 19 times in his career. By the end of August, the Dodgers were making a run for first place. Since Schotten returned as the manager, the team was 31-15. They briefly went into first place on September 2, but the Boston Braves took the lead for good on September 6 when the Dodgers scored just 1 run in 21 innings against Warren Spahn and Johnny Sain. They were later famously called the Spahn and Sain and Pray for Rain duo because the Braves didn't have many pitchers after the two of them. On September 28, Jackie Robinson stole home for his 8th seal of the plate. Here's a photo of him crossing home plate as Carl Farrillo gets out of the way of the play. Ricky tried to win with emphasis on youth and might have gotten away with it, but for a continuous run of injuries early in the season. Ricky switched managers in midstream, praying for another shot and miracle. But nothing worked out right for Ricky. The Dodgers finished 3rd in the National League after a tumultuous season. Well, thank you for joining us for this edition of Your Ticket to Baseball Nostalgia. This video is based on my book, Before and After Jackie Robinson, a story of the Brooklyn National League team as told through the lens of tickets and passes. For more information on old baseball tickets, go to baseballticketman.com. And to order your copy of Before and After Babe Ruth and Before and After Jackie Robinson, go to amazon.com. And watch for my 3rd baseball book, Before and After Satchel Paige. And a special thank you to Daniel Herman, who shot and edited this video.